learners! In this video, we will be continuing with the topic Ethical Issues in Research. The next issue that we will be discussing is the provision or deprivation of a treatment. Both the provision and deprivation of a treatment may pose an ethical dilemma for you as a researcher. When testing an intervention or a treatment, a researcher usually adopts a control experiment design. In such studies, a study population may be given an intervention or treatment that has not yet been conclusively proven effective or beneficial, which may be considered unethical. But if you do not test a treatment or an intervention, its effectiveness or its benefits cannot be proved or disproved. On the other hand, you are providing an intervention that may not be effective, which may be considered unethical. Also, it may be considered unethical to deprive the control group of a treatment, even if it may prove to be only slightly effective. Ensuring informed consent, minimum risk, and frank discussion as to the implication of participation in study may help to resolve some of these ethical issues. The next issue is using inappropriate research methodology. A researcher has an obligation to use appropriate methodology within his or her knowledge base in conducting a study. It is unethical to use deliberately a method of procedure you know to be inappropriate to prove or disprove something that you want to, such as by selecting a highly biased sample, using an invalid instrument, or by drawing wrong conclusions. The next is incorrect reporting. To report the findings in a way that changes or slants them to serve your own or someone else's interest is unethical. Correct and unbiased reporting of the findings are important characteristics of ethical research practice. The next is inappropriate use of the information. The use of information in a way that directly or indirectly affects respondents adversely is unethical. The researcher must ensure that information is not adversely used to affect the study population. Sometimes it is possible to harm individuals in the process of achieving benefits for organizations. An example would be a study to examine the feasibility of restructuring an organization. Restructuring may be beneficial to the organizations as a whole, but may be harmful to some individuals. Asking respondents for information that is likely to be used against them is ethical if you tell respondents of the potential use of the information, including the possibility of its being used against some of them, and you let them decide if they want to participate. Now we will be discussing ethical issues regarding the sponsoring organization. The first is restrictions imposed by the sponsoring organization. Most research is carried out using funds provided by sponsoring organizations for a specific purpose, like to develop a program or evaluate it, to examine its effectiveness and efficiency, to study the impact of a policy, to test a product, to study the behavior of a group or a community, to study a phenomenon, issue, or an attitude. Sometimes there may be direct or indirect controls exercised by sponsoring organizations. They may select the methodology and prohibit the publication of what was found or impose other restrictions on the research that may stand in the way of obtaining and disseminating accurate information. Both the imposition and acceptance of these controls and restrictions are unethical, as they constitute interference and could amount to the sponsoring organization tailoring research findings to meet its vested interests. And the second is the misuse of information. The research informations may be misused by sponsoring organizations that use research as a pretext for obtaining management's agenda. It is unethical to let your research be used as a reason for justifying management decisions when the research findings do not support them. However, it is recognized that it may be extremely difficult or even impossible for a researcher to prevent this from happening. So learners, I hope you have a fair insight into the ethical issues regarding research. Thank you.